overview of what we're going to do on this call. The first thing is I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I know many of you have been getting all sorts of information, either from your own connection to whatever you call your higher levels of consciousness, your God, angels, spirit, going direct with source, whatever that is for you. I know that you've all been getting your own messages. Plus, if you're on social media or listening to the news, we're bombarded right now with all sorts of information. And it's up to us to kind of weed through and say, well, what really feels true for me? It can get a little overwhelming, right? So we're going to talk about a little bit about what is happening, what's underneath the surface, what's underneath the, oh my God, I've got to make sure my refrigerator's full, or I've got to help my mother down the street. So we'll talk about that first. Then I've been seeing for days, I've been being shown how what's going on right now is affecting our physical, spiritual, and emotional bodies, and how we're actually being upgraded is one way to put it, or enhanced, or our vibration is being raised so that we can match what we're moving into. So we're going to actually have an experience and go through that where, and I know that I can't really explain it too much right now because it's going to happen as we're doing it. And for the most part, when we get to that part, I'm going to ask that you, in whatever way possible, that you get really centered and get free from distractions. So anyone, close the door if you have to. Tell the cat you'll pet your cat or your dog later. So that'll be the second part. And then, as I said, in the end, there'll be time for questions. So just keep that in mind if any questions come up while we're going through, okay? So what is going on? What the heck's going on? It's interesting because if you look at statistics and if you start focusing on all of the experts and what they're saying about the virus and people's reactions to the virus and what's happening with our economy and what's happening to people's mental health, if you look at statistics, we're missing a big piece of it. Because when I first started kind of tuning into the virus itself, I got that it was more of a catalyst for what's happening now, and that it was one of many catalysts that have been kind of ramping us up, and that we've had them throughout our history. We've had all sorts of viruses and all sorts of things. And I don't actually feel that we're meant to spend a lot of time talking about the coronavirus because it's only a fraction of what's happening right now, and it's a catalyst. So when I tuned into it, it gave me some messages, and they were very similar to a lot of messages that some of you probably got, or friends of yours got, and people were sharing, and there was a lot of comfort there, knowing that it's beyond maybe what we thought at first, that we were so worried about getting sick. And I know for me, that in the most interesting way is the least of my worries. So when I thought about other times in my life when I've had the flu, and it's totally been a clean out. And I know this is a little different than a regular flu, but it's still something that goes through you and shifts you and then elevates you or gives you an opportunity to open up to something new, which is a very different feeling than, oh my God, I'm going to get sick and die. It's kind of like an opportunity to think about, first of all, what does being alive even mean? And how can we take this opportunity to live even more open, live even more out there in the world? It's like an amazing opportunity. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to talk that much about the virus. So instead, what I am called to focus on is how people are shifting, how we all are shifting, what is happening. And I know in the circles that I travel in that you're all in as well, a lot of people are looking at the blessings of being close to family again. You know, my mom hasn't, for various reasons, my mom hasn't really talked to me directly in over a year. We've emailed and I've gotten messages through my brother, but she was really mad at me and wouldn't talk to me. And she called me yesterday, and it was because of her fear, and she wanted to connect with family. She wanted to connect with her daughter. And we had a lovely conversation, and I, in that moment, felt very much like I saw the bigger reason why all of this is happening. 3 years ago, as many of you who know me know, I moved from one of the biggest cities in the United States, Phoenix, Arizona, to the middle of nowhere, as far as I'm concerned, in Cambridge, New York. It's a beautiful area. We live in a beautiful home in the woods with fields all around and deer and bunny rabbits, and it's been amazing. And I was very antsy for the first couple of years that I lived here. I was like, I want to go out and travel. I want to go visit people in the city. I want to get out, get up. And now, ironically, I can see that I was actually being prepared for this time, because staying home is what I do most of the time. So it's really an interesting twist of fate, right? So, but even if you are in a big city or you've been used to having a lot of activity in your life, this is such an amazing time to really just go within and really look for those connections that you may have lost from busyness, from hustling, from trying to get somewhere without even realizing that we were trying to get somewhere, right? So, so that's a big piece of what I keep being shown. And I think a lot of us are starting to see that. So then I don't want to be all Pollyanna-ish about this either, because there is a truth in that people are anxious. And for myself too, there's been moments where I've been like, oh my God, do I have enough toilet paper to make it through until the next shipment in my grocery store? Which is ridiculous, because, you know, it's not like we're like excessive toilet paper users. There's only 2 of us here. That's just one example that makes me laugh. But there are people, I mean, my daughter's work just closed. Like she is out of work now. My son, who has some mental health issues and really relies on a team, a mental health support team, they're not making home visits unless it's an emergency now. And he kind of relied on that for interaction. So we talked about some different strategies that he could use, including talking to me more, which he did. You know, he's an adult, so we don't usually talk so much. So for those of you that are just joining in, I just want to let you know what we're doing is I'm kind of sharing some things about where we're at, why I felt called to do this, which is what I'm going to talk about next. And then we're going to actually go in, and I've been seeing some, we'll just call them healing codes for now. Some things that will greatly assist us to move through with grace and ease into this next level of vibrational match with the matrix of the whole planet and how it's shifting. And so it won't feel so, you know, like so our physical bodies won't be experiencing the intensity quite so much. And then from that place, once we're matched up with the energies that are coming through, we'll be so much more able to come from a place of peace and help people that are still struggling or panicking. We'll be able to be the ones that are coming from a much more centered, grounded place. So that there's that. And then there will be some time for questions at the end. So as I go through this, just know to save those questions up, and we'll address them at the end. Very good. So the calling, what is the calling right now? The calling really is that all the people that are in my life, whether they're fully conscious of it or not, the ones that I hang out with, which is you guys, since you heard the call and said, I want to be, that's me. The calling really is to do what we came here to do. And as I wrote in the original invite that I put on Facebook to this, it's like a long time ago, whether you use this as a metaphor or if you actually have the experience of remembering on some level that you made a decision to come to this planet from wherever you were before at this exact time for this exact reason, because Earth and the people of Earth were going to need us right now. And that's where we're at. The thing that we've been kind of feeling like, I know I've got a higher purpose. I know I should be doing more. I know, that tug that we've often felt. And, we've thought, well, maybe it's this, I'm going to start this business and this is how I'm going to help people. Or maybe it's this. And some of those businesses right now can't function because it requires face-to-face. So then we're being called to, okay, well, how else? Like, what was that core that made me think that was how I was supposed to serve? Even if it wasn't a business, it might be the way that you're raising your children. And what a great opportunity right now to show the kids a different way, a way that uses technology for sure, like we're doing now, but also remembers that the importance of the connection with family and friends and being able to go out in nature, and reconnects kids with that knowing. So that's another piece that I think is really important to remember, that we, again, on some level, we knew we were going to be here right now, and here we are. And so it's kind of like, well, now what? Now what am I supposed to do? Now what am I called to? And what I would say is to each of you that's on here is remember your heart. Remember the thing that connects you to the loving being that you are at your core. Sure, everyone has a bad day. Maybe there were times in your life where you weren't so loving. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the core of who you are, the core of who we are, as these beings who know that we have, it's not that we're so special that we have something that other people don't. It's just that we've become aware of how to bring those things out to the world to help people, to assist others. And if you've been dragging your heels, like for me, I've been dragging my heels to do a Zoom webinar for a long time, as Jeannie, who's helping me out here, knows. I think we talked about it like 4 or 5 months ago. And it took like the screaming, that's how I perceive it, like the screaming of people who have been waiting for me to do it, for me to just say, you know what, for whatever reason that I thought I had to get everything all perfect, everything all lined up before I could do it. It's like, you don't care, do you? Like, really? Like, it's not perfect. I was going to paint this wall behind me because this color is like really blah. And that was one of the reasons, believe it or not, one of the excuses I was using for not starting doing more video. I mean, I've been doing them, but it's like, I got to get rid of that wall color, right? Well, look, I have all this time now to paint, which I'm going to do next week. So again, back to what I was saying, which is remember your heart. That is the thing that's going to help you remember why you're here and find ways. It isn't even so much find ways, it's like open to ways that you're here to assist right now, and if there's a financial worry like your business. I just talked to someone who's got a very successful business, but it was completely reliant on things that she can't do anymore. And so basically everything fell out. And she said, you know what? I can still give. I can still find ways to give to people. And I'm not going to worry about the money at this moment. Because this person in particular, does have a cushion. Not everyone has that. So I'm feeling right now that in order for us to come to a place of calm and peace about what we're going through, these codes, these encodements that are ready for us to integrate, to help us integrate, I feel like that is the next place that I want to go. So we're not going to wait any longer. So what I'd love everyone to do that's on the call, I can't see everyone's faces, but I can tell that the ones that I can, that you look fairly relaxed, in a relaxed place. But if there's kids running around or any distractions, if you can kind of ask them to give you a few minutes of just some quiet, close the door if you have to. You don't have to lie down, but just get really comfortable where you are. And just take a few deep breaths and allow any of the tension in your body, just feel it starting to relax and melt. And for those of you that have done sessions with me before, you'll recognize this. We're going to just do a little short exercise that I do to help clear my mind, because there's a lot swirling around right now, and I can feel it in all of you. A lot of thoughts about what we're going to do next and how long it's going to be. And this will be about an hour. I forgot to mention that. An hour total. And it is being recorded, so don't worry if you miss a little piece of it. So if you could imagine right now this giant bubble right in front of you, whatever it looks like to you, doesn't have to be anything in particular. Just imagine this giant bubble in front of you. And the purpose of this bubble is to help release any of the extraneous stuff that's swirling around in your head. So if you can imagine now all of the thoughts in your head, I'm not going to get rid of every thought, but anything that you just do not need to be thinking about right now. All that extraneous stuff, you can imagine it, either pictures or words, and see all of that going from your head right into that bubble, just flowing in the stream. And as those extraneous thoughts and everything on your to-do list, anything that's been weighing heavily on your mind, just see it all going into the bubble. Very good. And then as one last piece, just imagine right in the center of your forehead is one of those, for some of you, old-fashioned DVD drives with an eject button. And you're just going to press that eject button, and out will come the DVD with all the stuff that you don't realize is weighing you down. And just put that in the bubble as well. And for those of you that are just joining us, we're just doing a little relaxation to get us ready for the activation we're going to do next. So just take a few deep breaths as you join us. And for those of you that are now have this beautiful bubble in front of you with all the extraneous thoughts in that bubble, see that bubble rising up, up, up in the room where you are, rising right through the ceiling of that room, rising higher and higher out through the roof of the building and out into the sky. And imagine that bubble rising up, getting higher and higher until you can barely see it, and then it disappears from view. And anything that was in that bubble that you really need to think about later, you'll be able to retrieve it. But for right now, just feel the freedom of being fully present right here, right now. Very good. And now I'm just going to ask those beings, however you see them, those beings, those higher levels of consciousness, guides, angels, God, whatever you want to call it, our collective higher levels. I'm just asking only those beings that have our highest good in mind. Join us now for the purpose of showing us anything that needs to be revealed, anything that needs to be more deeply understood, any areas where we need to bring more peace and ease into our lives. Very good. And now, just knowing that we've created this beautiful safe space to be together, this beautiful container of love. Very good. And so now I'm just asking, and for some of you, this question may be on your mind too. I'm just asking to be shown what is in the highest for us today, in this moment, where we're to start, where we're to begin this process of assisting all of us, all of you that are on this call, to integrate, to raise your frequency to match the frequencies that are coming through the planet right now, that are activating within the matrix of Earth. And if you can see, I'm going to be using a lot of what the way that this works, if you haven't worked with me before, is I often will be using words and describing pictures that I'm seeing. And it's not just telling a story. What it is doing, there are activations, there are encodements contained within the words that I'm speaking. And you may or may not feel it. Some of you who are very sensitive may feel your whole body kind of tingling, or you might feel it in your head, or you might feel a little dizzy. All of this is totally fine. Just know that what is happening is for your highest good. It is to assist you so that you can do what you came to the planet to do with the most grace and ease, with the most love. So imagine, if you will, right now, just imagine planet Earth, Gaia, and see the Earth with this beautiful light grid around it. And it's not just actually around it. It goes right from the core of the Earth, and it emanates out, 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 through all of the layers, out, 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 beyond the surface, out, 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 into the ethers. But if you were looking at it from space, it would look like a grid around the planet with lights of varying frequencies and energy running through all of the lights. This is the matrix of our planet. And what they are saying is that matrix, that grid, popped open in this new year. It was starting to happen at the end of 2019, and then it popped. Not right on the first, but it just opened up. And when it opened up, any frequencies that were on the planet that were archaic, that were from the old energy of greed and competition, started to vibrate very, very quickly And the reason that this was happening was so that it would shake things up enough that it could start breaking things down that were no longer serving Earth. And this shaking is still happening. And many of you will probably feel it in your physical body, as well as perhaps seeing what I'm talking about, because we're so intimately connected with the earth, the lifeblood that runs through the earth. The matrix of the earth is also connected to our individual matrices as well. And so it's going to affect the matrix of our physical bodies, the matrix of our emotional bodies, the matrix of our being. And it's going to impact that, and it has been impacting that. So for many of you, you may have felt that things were ramping up, or that there was this excitement. I'm talking about before this virus hit and things really became amplified even more, this vibration. So as we look at this matrix around and through the planet that we are all connected to, as I'm looking at it, we'll call them beings. You can take that as a metaphor or literally, depending on your perspective. The beings who only have our highest good in mind, who are not really of this earth. They have been waiting for a time where we could all handle this. It's been in the works for a long, long time. We have all known, humanity has asked for this awakening. I'm sure you've heard speak of the Great Awakening or the Great Shift. I know I've heard that for years. And people said, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And it's happening. And it has been happening. It's not like this piece of it is the beginning of it. This is what has been happening. So as we're in this shift, this great shift, and we're moving into this new matrix of the new earth, it's really important that our physical bodies come along for the ride, because otherwise then we would need to leave our physical bodies because we wouldn't be able to handle the energy that's coming through. So this is what we're going to assist with right now. This is the main thing. So feel your physical body right now in whatever state it's in, whether you're feeling totally comfortable and relaxed and everything's loosey-goosey, or you're feeling some tension in your body. Just kind of notice without judging it. Just kind of notice where you might be feeling any tension. And become aware, like I am seeing, for all of us, for each of us, that there is also, as I described around the earth and through the earth, there is a matrix that is around you and within you. And when I look at the matrices of each of us, they're right now very lit up. And they are, and this includes anyone that is listening to this webinar afterwards, listening to the recording, because it definitely goes beyond this group that's gathered right here, right now. But all of your cells are opening to a new vibration. And these encodements, these new encodements that are going to help with the shift, they are very structural in nature. So often when I get these, they can have a very, very different qualities. But when I say structural, they're getting at our core. They're getting at our foundation to help us strengthen the foundation that we already have as humans who have incarnated in these bodies right here and right now, to strengthen what we already have, to add new material to our DNA that will help us to communicate on new levels, to So that's an important one. I'm going to stop there, and we're actually going to right now work on bringing through this communication level, and it's coming through the back. If you might feel a little tingly as I speak of this. It's coming through the back, the base of your skull, and the back of your head, and right through to your throat chakra. And it's about communicating, but it's not communicating necessarily with your voice or with what you might write or what you might sing. It's also communicating with your energy field. So as these codes are coming in, and by being here, you have already given permission, like you asked for these codes, and they're completely to support you. So know that. So just in your mind, just bring consciousness to the fact that you have asked for these and that you're opening to these codes to come through, and they will help you communicate from your heart and amplify the love in your heart so it comes through your words, so it comes through your being, so it comes through any way that you're communicating with other humans on the planet and animals and any sentient beings and any part of this planet. When you are in communion, these codes will assist you for communication. So bringing that through, and I'm seeing this beautiful magenta light coming right through from our higher levels that are gifting us with this amplification. And feel it integrating around your throat chakra. And just keep breathing as this is coming through. Very good. Beautiful. And that's going to just continue for a few minutes as we do the next layer, which is, show me what that is. So this next piece, on the surface, it would look like it's strengthening your immune system. But they said that we don't actually have a very good understanding of what our immune system is. So if you have a medical background, I'm going to ask you to suspend your thoughts about what you know about an immune system. And I know a lot of us probably have been looking at immune systems and, how to keep ours strong so that we can fight this virus. But this particular activation of our being, so it's beyond your immune system, it's your whole system and how everything works together. And what it's going to do is it's going to remind us of our original programming. It's going to remind the physical body of how it's designed to work with all sorts of things coming at it, whether it's something that we think of as positive, like some lettuce and broccoli and some, good protein, or it's something that we think of as toxic, like particles of air pollution or toxic chemicals or a virus or a bacteria or a fungus. The body is naturally designed to have a relationship to the things that are around it and to cleanse and to be able to handle things. And we have pushed ourselves beyond the limit of what we were originally designed to be able to handle. So this is reminding us of our original programming. And I'm if you can imagine, like I'm actually holding a program in my hand, because it's really, we are inserting it to remind the body what it's designed for, but with an upgrade. And this upgrade, it's kind of like when we get a new antivirus software for our computer, and we need the upgrades. We need to keep getting the upgrades because the viruses keep getting more complicated. So that's what this is. So let me just ask how we're going to install it. Okay, so they're saying that the endocrine system is the main place where it's going to be in effect. And it's indicating that well, it's multiple places. So we're going to just, it's basically coming in through the third eye. That's where it's coming through. So I'm just bringing that through. And, you know, I'm giving you this detail. It's not so important that you say, oh, it's coming through my third eye. It's just that, again, the words contain an activation. The fact that you have a location for that helps the body be open to receiving the new programming, which is really old programming with an upgrade. So we're just bringing that in right now. I'm just going to activate that within you. And something to notice as you're going through the next few days, especially as you're going through, you just be very gentle with yourself when it comes to how your body is reacting to things, because it's going to be getting used to kind of a new way, or a way that it's not used to operating when it comes to just our environment and what you're exposed to. There we go. Beautiful. And I can feel that integrating within each of you. And just feel yourself lighting up with the vibrancy, amplifying every particle of your being, every cell of your body is being amplified with this beautiful energy, this energy that is, again, here to assist you so that you can do what you are uniquely here to do on the planet for as long as you're here. Yeah, beautiful. So let me see now if there's anything else. They're saying that those two are primary to us being able to move into this next phase of our human experience with ease and grace. So the communication level with the throat, and then the remembrance, the activation of our body's way of coping with the environment, those two things. And there will be more, but not on this particular call that we're doing. There will be more, but these two are going to help tremendously. So as a way of completing this portion, if you can just imagine if I had a million hands as the conduit for this loving energy, just imagine these loving hands coming down to your feet and just holding your feet with love, just to help steady you, to bring peace to your system, to just help you to cope with the craziness on some days that's going on in the world. And then I'm just going to ask the physical body, emotional body, spiritual body of each of you, of all of us. Just going to ask every cell of your body, every particle of your being to line up, line up, line up, line up. Perfect order. All is well. Very good. So take a few deep breaths. Move around, move your head from side to side, move your toes, wiggle your fingers. How's everyone doing? I know you're muted, so give a thumbs up or a ah. Okay, we got some thumbs up. That's great. Very good. I know you probably, everyone on this call knows, like, drink some water, you know, after you get off this call. If you don't have any with you right now, just make sure you stay hydrated as you're going through the integration of what we just did. So I want to open it up to any questions that may have come up about the activation that we just did, about stuff that's going on. It can be anything that is related to what we've been talking about on this call, or questions that we didn't address.
Hi, Cheryl. It's Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I want to say what I've been noticing is there's so much anger right now. And before this virus started and the financial crisis and all of that, I was really tapping into an incredible amount of anger on our planet. And of course, anger sits on top of fear. We know that. So I'm finding that more than fascinating, more than interesting. And I think this is just the culmination of it coming to a head almost.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure what to do about that. I'm okay personally, but I've had a lot of students that are attacking me. I mean, really, certainly not physically, but verbally, and really lashing out. And I find that pretty fascinating because these are very, very conscious women. Yeah. And you know, it's misdirected anger. And I'm trying to hold space for them and let them spew their venom. However, it's getting out of hand. You know, I have to set some healthy boundaries for myself. So any advice you have would be more than welcome on that.
So I suspect you are not alone that in recognizing that one of the reactions is anger, and yes, covering up fear. But a couple of things. One, I saw as you started talking about your students being angry, and I saw what's going to happen. Have you ever been around have you ever been around a 2-year-old having a temper tantrum? And they're
Yeah.
and then I saw something like that, like they have to spin out. They have to spin out. And that it actually, if you can hold the space of, it's actually healthy for some people to go through the anger by expressing it while taking care of yourself and your own heart and saying, you know, it's not okay for you to talk to me that way. I'll talk to you later when you're, you know, when you've calmed down. The other thing I wanted to share with you is something I learned a long time ago. This spiritual teacher who used to teach large groups, and she would, now I know you already have, you know, your students and they've been with you, probably studying with you for a while, but just something to consider. She would sit them all down at the beginning when they first started working with her and say something like, look, you're all in love with me right now. I'm just taking my turn as the leader. You know, this is just, you know, this is what I was called to do, just like I am right now. Like I'm just one of you, but I was called to share something with you, right? And at some point, you're going to fall out of love with me. And I'm going to become your mother. I'm going to become every teacher that reprimanded you. You're going to project all of your stuff on me. And I'm going to remind you lovingly when you do that, that it is not about me. So just as something to kind of put in your, you know, toolbox for later on, it's important for you to remember too, for all of us to remember if we're working with other people, that people are stirred up right now. And in all different ways, you know, it could be depression and they don't want to talk, you know, and it can be showing up in all different ways. And to not be too Pollyanna-ish about things and realize that it's okay. It's okay. It will pass too. The anger will pass, the attacks will pass, but really, Sharon, just also to reiterate, to make sure you're taking care of yourself through it.
Thank you. That's excellent. I like that a lot. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Let's see. Vicki, can you unmute yourself? I saw you raise your hand.
Yes, I wasn't sure how to
There you go.
do it other than that. So anyway, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, going through so much physical pain. Wow. And I am trying to hold a larger perspective with it. Um, but there's parts of me going back into fear. I have had back surgery 25 years ago, have a fusion, and I'm like, whoa, is it like breaking open? But maybe that's good because I'm, maybe this is a Kundalini awakening. Who knows? And I'm just, various parts. Even when you were doing the activations, my spine was just lit up, and I don't even know, I'm like, well, does that have anything to do with the activations? Who knows? Can you tune into that?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, because obviously I don't have time to do a whole session, but as I'm looking at your spine, I'm seeing that there is a, when they do a fusion, it helps at least on some level, but then it causes secondary issues, as I'm sure you know. And as I'm looking at your spine, I'm going to give everyone a different perspective about when you have procedures like that, whether it depends on whether you actually have material put in there, like a rod, like some people have metal in their bodies. And if you can see it in a different way, so this occurred one time. I had someone on a table when I used to do in-person sessions, and he had a rod in his spine, and he had seen it as his disability, and they were saying, no, 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 that actually is like a bionic part. And it actually is doing something beyond just helping with the pain that he was in and the reason why he had to have it. So if you can kind of see that your body is working with what it has to work with, which is right now a fused spine, and it's trying to figure out how to continue having that core of energy that we all have a central channel. It's trying to figure out how to keep that central channel open when there's a physiological like holding because of the fusion. So it's really interesting. And what I would suggest for you to do is visualizing that central channel going through your whole body from, at whatever you believe your highest level of consciousness, down, down, down through your crown, through your spine, and out through the base of your spine, out into the earth. And when you see that that is your energetic core, and whether you have a human body or not, that nothing can shake that, you're going to find that it's going to soften things a lot more. Okay.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It really does. Because I kept thinking it is energy trying to pass through me.
Yeah, definitely.
But and it's getting more and more intense. And okay. I thank you. Thank you for the time.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I do want to, we will, for those of you that want to, we can stay a little bit after to answer a few more questions, because I can feel that people have a lot of questions. But I did want to make sure that I addressed a few things at the end before we get to answering more questions. So I'm going to actually look at my notes because I'm still kind of out of my body. I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. So I'm going to be doing more of these sessions. And I just started yesterday evening. I started a new Facebook group called the Amplify Love. If you're not on it already, that's where I'm going to be sharing a lot more. If you have questions that don't get answered today, you can go on there and we can address some of your questions there. And also if you want to go to my website is thecosmicconduit.com. You can get more information about upcoming webinars. I haven't there's nothing on there right now, or sessions. If you want to do some more in-depth one-on-one work with me, I am, because I know a lot of people are having some financial worries right now. I am looking for some ways. I'm going to be doing some really inexpensive ways that we can work together, and because I just want to help. I really, and I think we all should be, no matter how afraid we are in our own lives about what's going on financially or physically, like how can we help others is the way to get out of the fear. It really is. So I wanted to make sure. And my mailing list, if you want to get on my mailing list on the website, I send out like maybe once or twice a month. So, and of course you can always unsubscribe, but that way you'll get to know when I have another webinar like this or do Facebook Lives and things like that. So I think that was that. So if anyone needs to leave, I totally understand it. Hey, Roberto. But let's go and answer a few more questions until I know Jeannie probably will have to leave shortly too. So, but who else has a question? Who is next?
I would like to ask a question.
Sure.
I think it would be helpful. You mentioned that the matrix had popped open, and it seems like it's ridding many things in the ways that we have known. We're stepping into something totally new. I think it would be really helpful to address what we're stepping into and how we can hold that as a vision.
That's an excellent question. You're going to laugh at the first part of my answer. Part of what we're stepping into is being okay living with not knowing what's around the corner.
That's great.
Right.
Excellent.
And we've been definitely being prepared for that. I know for me, it's kicking and screaming for a while, but kind of like, okay, I guess I'm not gonna know. So that's part of it. What I've been shown so far about what the new matrix is has to do with how we interact with each other and how our structures, our planetary structures operate. So it's not necessarily like all of a sudden there's going to be no school and everyone's going to homeschool, although that's what's happening right now. It's not like on that level, but it's more like how we approach all of these things instead of approaching it from a place of, well, first of all, especially in the United States and Canada, everything is about making a profit. So that it's so clear, and that is, and a lot of the anger that's getting stirred up is because people are panicking about their money or their stuff, or, whether they are going to survive. It's like getting us at that core. And that's an important piece to understand, that it's not necessarily going to be like we're here and then we're going to jump over here and everything's going to be completely different. Mm-hmm. Some things will feel like that, and other things it's more like, well, we never considered this viewpoint from this perspective, so let's consider that. Let's consider how we might approach this differently as we're creating something new. So that's one piece. Let me just see if there's anything else specific. I mean, there are lots of things that kind of are going to sound a lot more woo-woo to some of the people on the call, but I'm totally okay going there, and I think most of the people are. But things like our abilities, our natural abilities to communicate telepathically or get information. I was told years ago when I was listening to another channel, someone who channels information, who was doing it for a living, that at some point, probably while I was alive, would cease to be an occupation. Like you wouldn't be able to make money because everyone will be able to do it. Everyone can do it. Mm-hmm. And that will be moving more and more into that kind of thing. So it's really about teaching each other and nurturing that in each other. So if you're a teacher who, has become adept at channeling information from higher consciousness, then it's about assisting others so that they can do that too. Mm-hmm. And more collaboration and cooperation, but it's really like like what they're showing me in this moment is a bunch of calves, newborn calves who are wobbly and aren't quite sure. Like, I know we're supposed to play well together, but I'm not really used to it. And I'm all wobbly. And so having a lot of grace for each other as we kind of learn how to function in this new energy. This is a great topic that we can talk about on the Amplify Love Facebook group,
Okay.
because I know other people, and there's more, like it would be too long. We could talk about this for a long time, but I know other people are also getting information about this. So I would love if you would, I think I saw Bonnie, your partner Bonnie, on that page.
Okay.
But post that question and see what people are
Okay.
saying. I think it'll
I
be
think what I picked up from what you're saying are two very strong words that we're moving towards more of a harmonious way of being and also a unified way of being.
Yes, absolutely. Won't that be wonderful?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Blessings.
Love.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Sarah has to leave, but she wanted to ask a question.
Okay. What is Sarah? What is your question, Sarah? Oh, there you are.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, I'm the one. Sorry, my camera's not that good.
Hi, Sarah.
So I know myself and others are struggling between coming from fear and love, and a lot of people are kind of jumping to worst case scenarios. That, I mean, I know I'm a teacher, and I was told we're probably not going to return to until the fall. So I've basically, and then we're not guaranteed employment. And then other people are scared about disruption in supply chains, and then looking at Italy. So people are going into a lot of panic about, like, will they be alive? So I'm in the Bay Area. So we're right now shelter in place.
Yeah.
So how to have a perspective, like, given what's going on, like a perspective and not going into fear.
Yeah, and fear is not necessarily a bad thing, because it can be a catalyst to kind of move us through things. Like a lot, I think that's one, like, oh, I can't be afraid, or I better think positively, or I'm gonna, sometimes the fear. I mean, it got me when I went into the supermarket the first time, and there were no frozen vegetables or frozen fruit. There was no, there was aisles that were almost completely empty. I kind of went like that guttural feeling. Or, when I found out my daughter lost her job, I was like, oh my goodness, like, is she going to come and live with us? And would I have enough money to help, her too, as well as myself? The best for someone, and we all have gone through periods where we've had scary things happen. And if you look back at a time in your life, this is what I do, okay? And what I tell my clients is, look back at your entire life and everything that you've gone through, all the experiences that you've gone through, and pick moments. Like, I had one year where, I don't know, everyone was in the hospital, like once a month, from like brain surgery and broken legs. And it was like this whole year and then losing friends, dying suddenly, bizarre things in 1 year. And at the end of that year, I kind of was like this, like, what the heck? But it all passed. There were solutions to everything. Things worked out, not always the way, like in my wildest fantasy that I wish they had worked out, but it always worked out. And so when I start getting in fear like that, the perspective of everything on the planet, including us, is in constant motion. Everything is moving. And so a virus, for most people that will get the virus, it will come in and then it will go out, and it will end, and it will be, and that for some people that will just be their path, is that is how they're going to leave the planet. We're all going to leave the planet of something at some time. So, and then the other piece.
Yeah, I work part-time for environmental nonprofit, and I have TMI, too much information. So I
Oh, yeah.
know the information I've gotten. And so knowing what I know from all the environmental scientists who are forwarding a ton of stuff to me, that even a healthy person might get the lung thing. And so I have TMI, so it's a little extremely scary for me.
So the second part, which will address that, is that the best way to deal with fear on that level, especially when you're being bombarded like that, is really one day at a time and one thing at a time. Because when I learned this technique a while ago for dealing with fear and anxiety, where you literally make yourself a checklist, whatever your checklist is, everyone's would be different. But like for me, it was things like, okay, I'm breathing. You know, my breathing is not obstructed. I can walk. I can get myself to the bathroom. You know, today, right now, my bills are paid. You know, there was a time where I went through some financial difficulties and my bills weren't all paid. I have a roof over my head, you know, and I just literally would go through this checklist. And then once I would get the basics, I'd be like, you know, I'm relatively happy. I got to pet my kitty this morning. I went for a walk, like, you know, and slowly but surely, as I'm checking those things off, I'm realizing in this moment, I'm fine. And piecing those moments together, then it's the next moment. Am I still fine? Yeah, everything's on that checklist. Because fear only exists in our projection of the future of what could happen, or looking at the past, something that happened that we're afraid is going to happen again. In this moment, all is well. Even if you were sick, it's kind of like, that's what's happening. And so I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to go see a doctor. I'm going to take some medicine. I'm going to, you know, do what I can in the moment. So that moment to moment thing is really like the most important. I think we have time for one. Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm sure that that was so helpful to many, many people that are going to be listening to this. Thank you.
Sherryl,
So, yes.
Jean had a question.
Okay. Jean, this will be the last question. And then you can go over to the Amplify Love Facebook group and join me there. And, or you can email me also, cosmicconduit88@gmail.com. cosmicconduit88@gmail.com. And if you wanted to have a more direct question to me. Okay. Jean, what's your question?
Sherryl.
Hi.
Just wondering, hi. I'm actually very peaceful and relaxed. Okay, I'm not worried about everything, but my husband is a worrier. He worries about my children and my health and everything. So he is watching all the news about the virus. So is there any way I can have him relaxed?
Well, you are helping him a lot by being relaxed yourself. You know, one of the things, so my partner, Brian, works at the university, and the classes are online when they come back from break starting on Monday, but he's an essential employee at the university. And so for right now, he's going in every day. And when he comes home, he's very stirred up. And he is someone who really is great at having an expanded perspective. So if he's riled up, I can imagine if someone who doesn't maybe have the perspective that we're talking about, it's a bit more challenging. But when you realize the power that you have, not by trying to change his mind, because these are the things that will make someone really kind of dig their heels in. I don't know if you've experienced this with him, when you're trying to give him, you know, the bigger perspective, and he's like, but I have evidence here, and I just heard this, and I just heard this, you know.
I always tell him, no worry.
Yeah, he's going to show you the evidence. But if you can come to him from a place of understanding that you're not there to change his mind, but to be solid in your understanding of what's happening, and find those little ways to share with him, like that you're not worried, or that you're going to focus on, you know, something positive coming out of this, or isn't it great that we get to spend more time doing this or that? And even when he gets grumpy, like, it's great, but I should be doing this, you know, and I can't do this because I'm worried, or, you know, I think the more that you, and it's one of the reasons I was called to do this call, actually, Jean, is because we're here to be that calm in the storm for people. And so having opportunities like this to gather, to talk about our own fears, our own experiences, and then getting assistance from our higher levels to help strengthen our core, so that as we're having conversations with people like your husband, we can feel that peace that we have inside. And just that is helping him. And when the more you know that and recognize it, that it might not look that way on the surface, but having you stay calm is helping him. It's just gonna keep amplifying, and that is how you amplify love. So you just gave me the great way to wrap this up.
Thank you.
That's how you amplify love. And thank you so much, Jean. And thank you everyone that joined today. And thank you so much, Jeannie Selda, for your love and support in the background there. I so appreciate it. And I hope to see you all on the Facebook page, or on another call sometime soon. Bye now.
Bye.
Mwah.